Hey there, my friend. Welcome to another episode of the Contractor Click podcast. This is your host, Danny Barrera. And if you're looking to live in power, in purpose, and push through this season, I've got an incredible guest for you today. Mr. Jerry Scalzo, welcome aboard. Great to have you on the show. How's your morning going so far?
Thank you so much. It's great. It's early. It's nice. I love to start my day this way, talking about business. This is great.
Beautiful. Great to have you here. Our amazing co-host, Mrs. Emily. How's your morning?
It's going awesome.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah, we're ready.
Where are we starting? We have a special guest here.
Yeah, well, we
So much to
have
unpack.
we have a lot to unpack. We have a great guest here. Jerry actually is not only a friend of ours, and he currently goes to the same church as us, which we love. It's part of our, right, we talk about it here on our podcast. We're
Shout out
faith-based.
Coastal.
Shout out Coastal, Pastor TJ's, Pastor Shayla. Thank you guys so much. We love you guys. We love the church. And so one of the big pieces for us is just having those relationships. And Jerry has an incredible story and really an incredible testimony about how he's gotten to where he is. He is a licensed general contractor here in the state of Florida, and he has just built, honestly, kind of this empire of different businesses and different things, and really walked through a lot of the pieces that we've talked about on our podcast, right? Walked through recessions and walked through, even all of these intense turmoil that come with being a business owner and a family man at the same time, and a man of faith and a man of God.
Yes.
And so we'd love to just start by letting you guys get to know the Jerry that we know. And so, Jerry, just introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about who you are and kind of how you got to where you are.
Wow, that's a loaded question.
I know.
I got saved in '93 and never looked back. Did ministry a lot of places. The church I was with for almost 23 years. We went to Africa, helped start churches over there. It was a great start to the turmoil we were going to experience over the last 15 to 20 years. So I'm saved almost 32 years now. But this journey really started with my business partner, my wife. She's the greatest partner you can have. And, you go through these roads of ups and downs. It's like a roller coaster, and you have the highs and the emotions of getting ready. Your hands are up.
Yeah.
You're ready to go over the hill. There's marriage. Then you're a roller coaster down, and then you have the dip, right?
Yeah.
And then you get back up, and then you have a loop. So really, life is the roller coaster. And I've always heard these terms. It is, and then you just have to enjoy the ride, knowing that there's going to be ups and downs. If I told you today, like right now, what year is it? 2024, right? It's almost September of 2024, and I said, in 1 year from now, your business is going to be so successful. You'll never have to worry about a thing for the rest of your life. Would you worry another day? Like, no.
Right.
You would embrace any challenges, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Right.
Literally.
That's good.
Yeah.
You're
So
not
good.
thinking about failure. You already know the ending. It's like watching a movie and then watching with somebody else, and they're like, what's going to happen? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
do you stress? Do you even cry again?
Right.
No,
Yeah.
you know it's going to happen, So there was a movie with Mark Wahlberg and the dog where he's a runner. I don't know if you saw that movie.
No.
It's called King Arthur. And it was this famous, these guys race around the world. It's
Yeah.
like and challenging. And they were in, I think, Cambodia, one of those places. And this dog started following them. And for the whole story, and you just watch him, I watched the movie. But then I watch it with my wife. And no, the dog looks like it dies. No. And my wife is crying. And I'm thinking to myself, she only knew.
Yeah.
She's over here sobbing.
Yeah.
She only knew. And then 5 minutes later, she's like, why didn't you tell me? I'm like, because you have to experience it yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
But honestly, life, if you know your direction, we know what our creator, we know that salvation is the end game.
Right.
Yes.
We've already won the battle.
Yes.
Right.
And even in marriage and all those things, like we live in these moments, but the moments, if you dwell on the past and stop and having anxiety about the future, you get to live in the present. Just enjoy the present, knowing the future's already prepared.
Right.
It's really that simple. So my journey started where I had a radical transformation, and the old Jerry died, the new Jerry lived. And I was always surrounded by business. My dad was a business guy. He had a upholstery business and a canvas business, so I learned that business. And so when I got to college and had my radical change, I decided to just go to my first buddy that owned a dealership, and I said, "Hey, listen, he goes, you ever do a headliner?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." It's like, because I was always handy. I did a headliner in like an hour, and I made like $50. I'm like, "Oh, that's not bad. This is 93? So all of a sudden, I said, "That's great." The next week he calls me, "You have to do a convertible?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, I'll do a convertible." And then made $150 in like 2 hours. I'm like, there's money in this thing. And I went out, I bought an Astra van. I fitted it out with a compressor and some tools. And I went from car dealership to car dealership. And that's where I learned sales. And I just was that guy doing all these cars and doing all this upholstery for like 2 years. And all of a sudden I'm like, all these guys I'm fixing the cars for them to sell. So I saw a guy remember the days they curbed cars? People had for sale by owner all over the place.
Yes.
I was like, oh gosh, I should try this. So I got the guy to give me a license plate. I paid him $100 for the plate per month. I'm like, selling car. It just evolved. And like I talked about reps, everything's reps.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then that grew into, you know what? I'm going to get guys doing this for me.
Yeah.
And that's where the scaling first started with me, is understanding that I'm as good as the last sale.
Yeah.
Let me get guys to sell so I can be as good as their last sale.
That's good.
Yeah.
So from 96 to 2000, we were the largest wholesalers in Florida. We were doing 400 cars a month.
Incredible.
And at that point, we got noticed, and then the brokerage firm said, "Hey, let's go public," and we did that. And we raised money. We were in a finance company, and it just grew.
Wow.
And then when I've always wanted to build, I've always had that itch because I'm a builder, and I had an opportunity to buy some land in Lake Worth. And we bought some land, and flipped the first piece of property and made a killing. So I thought I was a hero. This is what happens in business. It's like selling the stock for the first time. Like, I made money. I didn't even lose.
Yeah,
and you get greedy, So the next deal was on in Lake Worth just before the hurricane. And we were going to build townhomes, 25 townhomes. And hurricane hit, stalled our permits for about a year. And all of a sudden, 2006 is hitting. 2007's coming.
Wow.
And we're seeing it. Rates are, we had the boom of 04 and 05.
Right.
Remember? And then 6, 7 is when I should have built. And we didn't start breaking ground until 2007 and a half, that summer. And it was a summer from hell. It was that summer where the market just dropped out. And we wound up, basically, I had 2 partners in it. And they bought me out. And for almost like, hey, just walk away. And thank God, because we all went to the bank. We signed off on the loans. And me and Amber were off. And we were all signed personally on this stuff.
Wow.
And that was my protection. And I was like,
Wow.
okay, Lord, sorry. It was a bittersweet, but
you know what? That took humility.
Yeah, it was hard. It was hard because I never forget selling the dream home I built for her, and sitting at the kitchen table, and we're at the close. We did the closing at the house. It was like spit in your face. We'll do the closing at the house. So, and Amber's just crying. Watching her cry there, it was hard because this is you thought you were there. And this is where I talk about knowing the end.
Yeah.
If I would have known what I know now, do you think I would have worried then?
Yeah.
Right.
But going through these years, now I don't sweat anything. I mean, when a hiccup comes, I go, yeah, it'll be okay. It'll be fine. Yeah. That was my first big hiccup. It was like, okay. And you know what? We started over. And honestly, it's funny because I was journaling a lot during those days. And I'd be just journaling. And then when we moved out of that house, it was years later, she found the journals.
Oh, wow.
She came to me like 3 years later. She goes, was it really that bad? I didn't tell her.
Wow.
I was living on credit cards. I was tithing on credit cards. I was trying to live. I said, I don't care. I am going to live in faith.
Wow.
Wow.
And it was like, and she goes, it was that bad? I go, yeah. He goes, why didn't you tell me? I go, because it's not your job to worry. You were homeschooling. She was doing her job. It was already bad enough she had to accept the fact that we sold the house. So we moved into the rental house for 3 years. And I grinded. I literally built all the Verizons. I built 30 Verizons in 3 years. 30, okay?
Wow.
From Key West to Fort Pierce. It was like back and forth. It was craziness for 3 years. And I was on a mission.
Wow.
And it was, but I never missed a football game. I never missed a practice. I never missed a gymnastics event. It was always, I would leave at 3 a.m. to get to Key West to get home by 4:30.
Wow.
The priorities were important. I think God honored a lot of that. So it's so hard to get lost in it. I'm grinding. Just trust. No, you have, like we talked about the balance. There was those moments of imbalance.
Yeah.
But yeah. So when I did miss something, it wasn't like you're a jerk. It was, she would say,
Yeah.
don't worry about this event. I know you're busy, because it's
Wow.
always a priority.
Right.
So it's easier for her to say, don't worry about this one.
So what was the thing you sacrificed in that season then?
Honestly, nothing.
Nothing. Would you say it was like your sleep though?
When God is in something, he makes it effortless.
Yeah.
It's emotionally painful. Emotionally. I shouldn't say that. Okay. So
That's what
what
you-
I give up?
yeah.
Emotions. Because I had to internalize it. I had to have this armor where my wife wasn't going to affect it, because it doesn't do us any good for both parties to be upset or get upset. Really? I mean, seriously.
That's good.
Doesn't
If
solve
I have to
anything.
take care
Yeah.
of this, if I have to be the guy to be the provider, protector,
That's so good.
why would I involve her? Yeah, pray for me.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
why am I going to put undue stress on her when she has enough stress
That's
with
really
the kids
good.
and the raising and paying the bill? So for me, that was my ability as a CEO of my companies. It's my job to be a CEO of the home, and she's my COO. Okay, so why would I do that to my COO? If you're running this thing great, keep going. Let me handle this. I will always make sure the kids can still do gymnastics. Nick can be in football. There was never those times of, can we really afford this? Never.
You just made it happen.
But she was very frugal. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
She wasn't one of these women that, her greatest gift is she's a Target, TJ Maxx, Home Goods. She lives there, okay? Versus needing Neiman Marcus. So
Right.
Oh, yeah.
you need that. And when we talk about imbalance, that's the balance you do need.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you communicate that with her? What was the communication like with your queen?
We had a great relationship with God. So
That's good.
Yeah. When you have that kind of relationship, you don't have to feel like you have to constantly communicate what that is.
honestly, that's it.
Wow.
When she has a great relationship and I do, you don't look to each other.
Yeah.
Ever. So, sorry guys.
No, you're fine.
But she's so solid. So it's, when you don't have to have that worry about that, it just, you can hold it up. It's hard to hold it up when someone's pulling you down.
Yes.
So I do a lot of marriage. I do these things and I share these things.
Yes.
It's like when you pick your mate, you're picking a partner. It's like going into business.
And it's got to be your best
Yes,
friend.
it has to
It's
be.
got to be your best friend.
Yeah, it has to be. Yeah.
But we've talked about it and we've seen it, and I'm sure Danny has talked about it as well. In regards to a lot of the businesses that we work with, that mindset. It's the mindset that you have to break through, like you said, not letting the emotions or the feelings of the situation overtake the logic or the grind in the moment, right? Which is, and that's hard. That's challenging for all of us. I think, whether you're someone who has a relationship with God or has a faith that you believe in or you don't, the mindset behind what you do and say and how you approach it, whether it's your relationship with your family or even your relationship with your employees, right? Like I'm sure in that season you weren't going in constantly negative with your employees and down on them and frustrated and like, this is the worst thing ever. And that affects how people are and also their output, because if there's constant just negative energy or just an almost like an aura of like defeat, like we're just defeated, even in the recession, we're defeated. And we're seeing that now. Like people are feeling that right now, right? It's no secret what's happening. It's no secret that in the United States right now, people are struggling, whether you're someone who is in the upper class, middle class, or lower class. Every person, every spectrum is feeling it. So how we approach and our mindset behind those things is so, so important, because like you said, there is fruit on the other side. Oh, yeah. You just have to push through. Yeah. You got to put on that mindset. You got to put on that armor and be like, no, I'm just going to do this thing. It's hard.
When you work out, you have muscle memory. Every time you work out, you want to put an extra couple pounds on there. You don't want to keep doing the same thing over and over, because all you're doing is just, you're not really breaking down the muscle. It's funny because I worked out on Wednesday. My chest is killing me. I'll tell you something. Is that 2007-8, that season, okay, was so traumatic. like heavy lifting. It was so traumatic where when we go through COVID, perfect example, we're going to fast forward a little bit if you don't mind. So now we get to COVID.
Yeah.
And during COVID, what happens? I mean, it's like, this isn't even like an economy bad. This is like, no one knows what's going to happen. Okay.
Right.
So at this time, 10 years have gone by and we're now, we have the hotel and we have a restaurant and we're, have 55 employees at the hotel. And I have a choice because I've owned it since '08. And that's the funny thing. During this whole crazy season with Amber and everything else, I decided to take on a hotel. Like, when you talk about, in my prayer closet, giving up the house and let's acquire this. And I got it in '08, November of '08. That first year and a half was the worst years of my life.
Wow.
Yeah, because I had no idea what I was doing. I'm trying to be a builder. I'm trying to own a restaurant and a hotel. I mean, not the restaurant yet, the hotel.
Yeah.
And understanding that, you just got to grind and figure this out. So what that did to me is, because remember, as a builder, I knew what I was doing. Kind of like I can make mistakes and self-correct. When you're in another business that you're not a professional at, that's where I really started understanding the busing. The book Good to Great,
yes.
like
Jim Collins.
Jim Collins. Having the bus, right people in the right seats, and getting the wrong people off the bus.
Yep.
He wrote the second book to that, point 2, and he talks about a lot about trust. And this is where I'm going to segue into understanding that I had to get the right people on the right bus. So I hired my general manager from a competing hotel in 18 months in. And I asked her to consult for me for about 3 months. Just come consult. She's coming from a 200-unit hotel to a 25-unit hotel. So it's like, and after about 3 months, she did amazing. And I said, I offered her a job. I said, please come work for me. I'll give you the same money they were giving you. And now you're a quarter of the job. And she came to work for me, and it's been 16 years.
Wow.
My GM's been with me for 16 years. My office manager at Living Water has been with me for 17 years. So married 28 years. So I have 3 wives. I always tell people, I got my wife at home. I got the hotel with Christine, and Angela's with Living Water. And without these integral people, none of this happens because there's a lot of plates spinning. I can't grab each person has 3, So the part about the bus that he talked about in book 1 was getting the right people on, the wrong people off. But in book 2, he talks about trust. As an employer, especially in our construction industry, it's very, very difficult. We live in South Florida, so it's almost impossible. 90% of the time, I'm second builder in. Literally, 90% of the time. Because somebody shafted them or didn't come back, took their deposit. It's a train wreck out there. And I'm like, and to me, it's foreign.
Yeah.
Because we don't even think that way. And when they tell me these stories, I'm like, how is this even possibly happening?
Right.
But you have a heart for Christ. That's not even on the radar.
Right.
And you see how fallen the world is. So Living Water gets to come in and save the day a lot of times. So the whole thing about trust, and I really understood now is, I'm an entrepreneur so some employers make an employee earn trust before they give it to them, and then there's some entrepreneurs that extend the trust first and let them lose it. I'm this guy. I always extend trust to a fault because it's hurt me with bad partners. You understand what?
Danny's
so
like
exactly
that.
what it's like.
But so here's the thing. So those 2 employees can work differently.
Yeah.
What effort is this person that doesn't even feel trusted going to give you?
Right.
There's no way they're going to give you 100% effort. This guy will give you 100% effort. He might screw you. You might have an issue, but I'll take the odds of 15 to 20% of someone shafting me.
You take the chance.
Yeah, I take the chance.
Yeah.
Because I extend the trust, and when you empower somebody,
right,
sky's the limit. And you shake them out. Right. I've had, out of all these years, I'll take the 3 or 4 bad years for the 12 great years. Give me this. Give me. How about 50% or 49%? So that's where the whole entrepreneur and able to handle this and able to have enough reps is understanding these core principles in business. And it's really, and I say this in marriage too. People make marriage so hard. It's not hard. Husband, love your wife like Christ loved the church. Wife, respect your husband. It's that simple. Right. And that little statement, because if I'm willing to die for my wife, like fall on a sword for her, how does that person not respect you? And that type of respect isn't a sensual love. It's a respect love that turns into a greater love.
Right.
Trust.
And
the
it's that
highest level of trust.
Highest level of trust. It's that simple. And we did it since day one.
Yeah.
So when that happens, all you do is outdo each other.
Right.
So when we do our marriage classes and our connect groups, that's the first thing I share with people in the group is, guys, if you would just lead your wife this way, I promise you 90% of your problems will go away. And why is, if they do that and you can do this,
Yep.
it'll be gold for you. So how I run my business is how I run my home. And I've made some bad moves with partners, and now I don't even take partners unless I have dinner with the wife and I see their life. I refuse to go into business with someone that their home's not in order.
Wow.
Because if they can't do the most important thing, then what makes you think they're going to take care of my business? So that's kind of,
Wow.
You do that with employees too?
that's a hard one. You always want to have, I minister to them, and I can't fire somebody because they don't love Jesus.
Right.
Right.
Or if someone's beating their wife. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to condone those kind of things, but I found that when I love on them this way, you get great character people. I laugh because out of the 50 employees at the hotel, 75% have been with me more than 9 years.
Wow.
Wow.
That's good.
And you have a restaurant.
Florida.
There's a lot of servers, and they don't want to leave.
Wow.
Because when you treat people really good, during COVID, it was rough. My 5 managers that ran the hotel, I had a meeting with them, like after 5 weeks, 6 weeks, when I kept going and going. I'm like, I'm not going to be one of these people that let people
Yeah.
off. And I couldn't go anymore. Sat them all down. I said, guys, if I furlough your salary until Christmas, it was like May, June. It's like 5 months left. Would you stay and help me? And I will give you all the money in Christmas, but and every one of them said yes.
Wow.
That's
They
incredible.
were willing to not get paid. And within 2 weeks, I got PPP, and it was a blessing.
Wow.
But I just saw so much courage in them because they trusted the vision.
Wow.
Because I knew where we were going and what we were going to turn the place into. Because it was a great little hotel for all those years. And I always said to my GM, I want a boutique place. I want to do these. And she's like, what do you want me to shut down? This is in November. No, in November before the COVID hit, I'm having this meeting with her, doing my whole design of what I want. I presented to my GM.
Wow.
And she's like, Jerry, we can't do this. Maybe we'll do a room every month during the summers, and it'll take us 5 years. I'm like, fine. So we planned for that, right? When March hit, it was like, can I shut down now? It was, and we literally
Wow.
gutted the entire hotel.
Wow.
In 4 months, we did the entire building, and literally turned into a completely different client base. Everything completely changed, and we almost, I don't want to say doubled our revenue, but it was like a 25% increase in revenue.
I was gonna say, of course,
yeah.
because you went for a totally different client base too.
We have over 800 reviews. We're top boutique hotel in Fort Lauderdale on the beach.
Wow.
Over 800 reviews. We're 4.85. We win every year. We win the award for top 10% in the world for boutique, and it's the people.
The people.
No, they had some vision,
Yes.
but they had to. If they can't execute, if they don't believe in your vision.
Right.
And I bring that to construction. When I do every house I do, if I don't get every sub to buy into my vision, they're just working. They're really just working. They don't care about craftsmanship. Like what we just did at the church.
Right.
How much did we just do in like 3 weeks?
Oh my
It's
gosh.
insanity what we just did.
Transformations.
I didn't even know how we did it because Trenton and I went to Africa
We did
and we
that-
came back and we were like,
Yeah.
I was confused.
3 weeks we did that entire thing.
That's like my second home and I didn't know what happened. I was like, I was in Africa and I come back and there's what's going on?
I was talking to Scott about this, and I was with TJ for the weekend. I was like, you know what? There was not a hiccup. Like, not one person cried or moaned or.
Wow.
We worked a lot of nights. I mean, there's a lot of guys in there. To have to clean every time because it's always something going on in there. It's
Correct,
not like,
there's always
hey,
something.
shut down for 3 months.
Right.
So, but that only happens because everyone buys into the vision, and they know that we weren't just doing a job. And I preach them because this is my church. This is the church. This is you want God to bless the rest of your business. I don't throw it over them, but honest, guys, you take care of God, He takes care of you.
Yeah.
And all my subs, honestly, I never really bet out. I've had the same painters, the same electricians, the same plumbers, 10, 12 years.
Wow.
Incredible.
Why change?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every year or two, I said, guys, don't make me bid you out. Because like they can get a little greedy, but they love the relationship.
Right. So when it comes to how you're keeping those subs, because we do talk, we talk about that with our contractors a lot. What does that look like when it comes to the way that you're selling the vision to them? Because I think that's where some of these contractors even are, and our business owners are having a hard time. Maybe it's organizing their core values or their team values or the way they're coming to market. How do you do that?
Do you drive
have
excellence through
do you have
building?
core
How do you
values or
deliver
team
that?
values? And
Authenticity.
okay, yeah,
I can sit here and I can get emotional. It's called authenticity.
yeah,
It's this, they're not stupid. They know when you're lying to them. They know it. So the whole thing is telling the truth. Listen, guys, we got a project here. You got to give me a good number. Here's the thing. We got to be done in this many weeks. And listen, I'm not going to ride you. Just commit to those. Everything's about a commitment.
Real conversation.
I always tell people every client that I have, you know the new clients, they go to our church, Rodrigo and Sam.
yes,
Okay, we're good friends with them. Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Sam and Amber, she's done Amber's nails forever. Okay.
Awesome, yeah.
You know his testimony, Rodrigo's testimony?
yes,
Yeah. Is an engineer, so he's very analytical and went through the entire Bible. And God really says, he's like, oh my gosh, this is real.
Yeah,
And gets radically saved. And now he's doing all these different ministries. And it's funny because they want us to do their house. And I'm like, Brad, this is a small little job. But he goes, but we want you to do it. I'll do it for you. But here's the thing. I sat him down and I said, here's the deal, guys. Do you want to lose us as friends? Because we'll have them over for dinner, just kind of minister. And he goes, no. I go, well, the construction's messy.
yeah,
There's always expectations. You have this dream and this budget, okay? They don't match.
that's good.
I don't care what anybody says, how much money someone has. They have the dream, and here's their budget. No one ever matches their budget to their dream, ever, including myself.
Right.
I'm in Lighthouse Point, bought a house on the little, you go over Sample Road in that little community right there. Bought it 2 years ago. Took me 14 months to get permits. I had a budget of what I was going to spend to do this like really boutique. It's going to be an Airbnb. I'm double my budget. I
Right.
have double my budget going, how do I spend this much money? Because I know what it needs to be.
Right.
But in my mind, I'm like, I could do it for this. I blew through that.
Yeah.
And I think to myself going, I never looked at budget with the hotel when I did renovation. Because remember the movie Field of Dreams?
Yeah.
Build it and they will come.
Yeah.
I am a firm believer in that. You stayed at my little place. That was what, almost a year and a half ago?
Oh my gosh, more than that, because she's over a year and a half old.
Okay.
So what? Almost closer to 2 years. Probably like, yeah.
Just when you started staying there, it was just being finished with all the landscape. I mean, it's just like almost maybe 6 months old.
Yes, which your landscaper is fantastic.
Mike, with the
He's
little dog.
the best.
Okay.
He's the best.
But Mike's been with me for 28 years.
He said that. He told me that.
He did the landscape in my house that I had to sell.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
That's
So
incredible.
People in your life, when they become family, they will walk over glass without shoes.
That's true.
When you take care of them.
Yes.
And you look out for the best interest. It isn't take care of them just because you have to.
Yes.
It's you genuinely care about these people.
Well, you're the same person in every room you walk into. So you're going to be the same person with your family that you're going to be with your business, that you're going to be with your employees, that you're going to be in the hotel. And that is a huge piece. And we've talked about that before is, a lot of, again, we try to encourage our business owners, guys, you have to be real with your clients. Even when it comes to sales, like you said, if you're trying to sell your client something and you think, hey, yeah, I can make that happen, but you're not 100% sure you can make that happen within that budget, that's where the disconnect comes. You would be so much better off just being transparent about what that pricing model or structure, whatever it is, looks like in the long run than you would be to lose that customer. And we've seen that time and time again. Like, it's a risk, but like you said, it's reps. Once you do it once, it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to have that conversation and tell someone, hey, we cannot do the pavers in your backyard for what you would like us to do it for. Here's what we could do within your budget, but that we cannot do.
You said that about being honest and that's authentic.
Yes.
And you got to remember, most of the small contractors are more worried about making payroll than having integrity. because you compromise. You go, I can find like Rob Paul will pay Peter. And that is, I would say 70% of the contractors out there, at least 70%.
Yes.
So when you said about being authentic and caring, and it's okay to be the highest priced guy. You just have to understand how to rebut it. Meaning this, when a client says, that's just not in our budget, you say, would you at least give me the opportunity if you find another bid to let me look at it?
Wow.
Because here's what happens. I guarantee you, if you're honest and you're not trying to gouge somebody and you're being ethical and you budget it properly, and let's just say you're on a $100,000 job, you're $20,000 more, which is 20%. But that other person comes in and you go apples to apples, wait a minute, this is what I'm offering and this is what they're offering. Are you willing to save $20,000 for this inferior product? And that's where confidence and the ability to sell, and I hate the word to sell, because you don't want to sell somebody. It's not about
serving them.
It's serving them, because at the end of the day, they're going to spend the $20,000 in change orders. I promise you, it always happens.
Wow.
Yes.
But if you say, here's what it's going to be, and if it goes over, you don't owe me a dime. And I can honestly say those things. When you're doing this 20 years, listen, this whole thing with this house in Lighthouse Point, I bought it 2 years ago. So my mind's on 2 years, what happened 2 years ago. You know how bad the prices have gone up in 2 years?
Right, exactly.
So that's why I'm like, okay.
I know. I'm like laughing when you're telling us, like, yeah, I bought a piece of land in Parkland for $400,000. Could you imagine, Danny? Could you imagine?
No, the house is like 1.6 now. It's crazy.
Oh, it's like, what is going on?
Yeah. Triple the profit.
Triple.
Yes.
But
Gosh.
Yeah.
But guys, hear what Jerry just said. I love what you just said, because that's a practical tip that they can take away from this, which is, hey, if they say, hey, that's too much, your bid, your pricing, it's too much. I love that you said, give me the opportunity to look over another bid that you get. Give me the opportunity, because
That's good.
That's just a practical tip right there.
Dude, I'm constantly telling my own kids, and my wife, it's so hard for her because she's just very compliant. The quote is called, would it be possible? People's like, what do you mean?
Possible.
I go to a hotel. So we went to Marco Island last weekend, and Shayla got Amber into points. So everything's about points. And so we go over there, and you can, if you're this member, you can ask for upgrades. So we walk in. I said, is it possible, that you can give me an upgrade? She goes, oh, we're full this weekend. And she looks around, she goes, but you had a room that didn't have the ocean view, but I moved you closer. And I said to my wife, I said, if I never said a word, we'd be looking at the street.
Wow.
But that's like that with your client. Anything we do, would it be possible? And that's where God is. I think God wants us to be good stewards. Yes. What does he tell us about the guy with the 5 talents or 3 talents, 1 talent?
100%.
It's always, what could this grow to?
That's really good.
So I am a firm believer in, write this down. It's your effort dictates your purpose. Honestly, your effort will always dictate your purpose, and I should say purpose, the outcome.
Yep.
So if I give a little effort, hey, would this be possible? Now it's on her. Not be saying, I'm a diamond and I'm supposed to. You're supposed to give me an upgrade. No, I just humbled myself. Hey, would it be possible? Just a little. And Amber's like, here we go. She tells you, don't do that. I'm like, then we get it. And she's like, that's nice.
Yeah.
But it takes a certain personality to ask. But you can train yourself.
You can train yourself. And if you're not comfortable training yourself, guys, we've talked about this. If you're not comfortable training yourself, find someone that is. Find a partner, or maybe it's your wife or whoever it might be. Find someone who has that talent and that gifting of communication, because it really, like you said, at the end of the day, it's about serving people. Yeah. And some people just naturally have that gift, right? Where people are just attracted to them and they can have those conversations and the walls come down and they're able to just honest and transparent and openly have a conversation about, hey, would it be possible for me to look at another bid with you? Let's see what we can do.
And another note with that is you the whole possible is relatability.
Yes.
You don't have to talk about the job. Find a commonality. This is about relation. No one realizes building someone's house, you're a part of the family. I mean, you're literally going to their brain going, you have something in there. I'm going to take that and put it on a piece of paper and give you, you're basically giving them a gift.
Right.
And the thing is, everything's about a relationship. I don't know one client that I don't build a relationship. I can talk to them. Like, hey, how's your kid? I talk about sports or football. I always talk about my kids or my wife, my relationship. And it's not about building trust because they know you, but that's really what it is.
And now more than ever, people desire that.
Oh yes,
because
Connection.
of where the economy is at in this situation and what this looks like in this season. I think people are desiring that more, now more than ever. We're seeing it with our clients. Would you agree with that, Danny?
Yes.
The communication needs to be 10 times what it was
Much
even
more
for us
thorough,
3 weeks
not
ago.
rushing the sale, right? And putting the customer at ease and making them feel like, hey, you can trust me here because we're partnering in this, designing this project together, and I'm gonna look out for you, etc. But it's all in the relationship.
Oh yeah,
100%.
I want them to like me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because like I said with Rodrigo and Sam, guys, there's expectations, there's budget. So if you can understand that there's going to be some pivotal moments where you're like, I really thought I was getting this, but you have to be able to trust me. You have to be able to come to me and not be harboring this stuff. Because if you're harboring it bitter, what's the point?
Yeah.
So that's where I think full transparency needs to be the most important thing.
I think a lot of this always comes back to your faith.
Yeah.
And the integrity that you have with the Lord. It's hard to walk in integrity with God and come out to the marketplace and run a business out of integrity. Like, you just happen to have that as a solid foundation. And that's
Right.
what I found for myself, for our partners, clients, contractors. Is like, hey, God's got to be the foundation. Because if everything else is falling apart, everything's going sideways, you're going to have those days that are up here, and tomorrow or 4 hours later, it's like, you got someone that crashed a truck or whatever. And now you got to recover from that. So that's foundation. How do you seek God? Like, what does that look like for you in your days? First thing in the morning, throughout the day?
It says
Like,
God.
I just walk around, I'm literally talking to God. And Maddie, sometimes she's like, what are you doing? Oh, I'm just praying right now. What does that look like for you?
So Amber was in my office. I have a home office at home, and I love my space I built. It used to be the kids' home theater. Like, it was a big room, and this last year I converted it to my, like, really awesome. I mean, I went to the nines on this thing, and crate and barrel couch. I mean, I didn't care. I wanted my own.
Like, this is my space.
Because for years I would sit at the island because I liked being around everybody and just have my laptop open, but never really a place where all my books. I mean, so I did my office this year, and it's now like my sanctuary. So I'm in there a lot in the morning. I'm up 4:35, so I'm in there for at least 2 hours. And honestly, people go, "Oh my God, you must get so much time reading the Bible." No, I'm not a huge reader like that. It's funny because I probably read 30 books, in the last 10 years. And I'm one of these like ADD guys that is like, I have my book out, I have my highlighter, and I have Audible going at the same time. All three things. No, I'm literally,
That's my husband.
no, I have to.
Yeah.
Because what's happening is I have to keep up. So I'm reading, I'm listening, and I'm like, okay, pause. I like that. But honestly, that's the way I've
Yeah.
conditioned myself, because if I start reading, I'll pick 10 pages. I'm like, oh my God, what did I just read? I get to the end of 10 pages and going, I just finished a chapter. I have no idea what I read.
Yeah.
So I had to learn to, and it's the same thing with the Bible. When I went to Africa in 94, went for 6 weeks. And in 6 weeks, I read the entire Bible. And it was one of those, it was like I want to do this. And I learned to play guitar. And
Wow.
not great, but
Okay.
enough to do children's ministry when I got home. So,
Are you sure? I'm just
no,
kidding.
no.
She needs a
Enough on my
guitar
plate.
player.
We'll be
I'm not ready for the
auditioning you.
calluses again. But honestly, it was like it's that morning. I get up. I have a quiet time. I'll listen to a podcast. Almost every morning I'll listen to a podcast. And a lot of it is really self-growth. A lot of it is what's going on in the market. I mean, if you're not educated,
Yeah.
you're dead in the water. Everybody walks around like this with it'll be fine. No, you got to prepare.
Yeah.
Yes.
You got to prepare. So I learned my lesson about not preparing. I should have saw the signs in 05. Oh my gosh, houses are like 400,000 next to Calvary. Those houses were crazy. We literally sold our house before I moved. That summer of 05 to
Yeah.
move into the big house. We were the last house to sell in Paver, right behind Calvary. The last
Oh,
house
wow.
for 450,000 in 05. It was like, oh my God, we bought the house for 99,000
Wow.
in 99. So I was like, that was the first, we real estate moguls.
Woo!
But it went right into the big house,
Yeah.
But I think about when you said, how do you prepare yourself? So now that I'm done, I'm in the car. I have 40 minutes usually in my car when I'm going places. And I put on my 43.3 megahertz music and I just talk to God. I don't pray. I talk to him. I talk about my day. I talk about the kids. We just talk. And that's my time.
That's good.
And no one realizes because, again, ADD, as I'm driving, you're in the mode of like, I'm just going to get there. And that's just kind of my thing. So
good.
I don't pray every morning with my wife. I mean, everything we pray like twice a week together.
Yeah.
We worship together. So this unconventional, people go, oh, you have to pray every.
Right. Yeah.
For us, she has her amazing relationship with God. I have an amazing relationship with God. We just complement.
Yeah.
And that's where there isn't this formula. And even in business, there really isn't a formula in business. All I can say to people is you have to have courage to do the hard things. You have to have courage to do discipline because nothing happens in this world without discipline.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't want to work out 3-4 days a week, but I do. I hate it. It's like loathe it. I don't eat processed sugar. I've now the last 2 years since I hit 50, I'm like, okay, things are going to change.
Yeah.
And it's like that in anything. If you could do it in your marriage, you could do it in your health,
That's
you could do
true.
it in your business.
Yeah.
And it should be that way because when people look at you, you should walk around and go, he's disciplined.
Yeah.
If he's disciplined in that means he's disciplined in his wife, he's disciplined in his
Yes.
business, and that's what builds the trust. So it's really a formula for success. And the key word I tell all my students is discipline.
Discipline. Love it.
Yep.
You have the discipline to be honest with your clients.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's discipline.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Can you do the hard things?
Hard conversations.
Hard conversations.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which one did you find the hardest, the first million or the second one?
Well, it happened like 3 times. But when I went public with the whole car thing,
Yeah.
yeah, it happened. I was worth, I don't want to say this on camera, like $300 million for like 20 minutes, okay? Because the stock was like here. And I'm like,
Yes.
oh my God.
Right.
And then it just, they shorted the stock down to nothing.
Wow.
I couldn't sell because I was the CEO. You have to hold for 4 years. Like back then.
Wow. Yeah.
But it was, everyone else made money. But it was the vehicle to sell the finance company and then buy my first piece of property. It was always
Right.
something, But I always think, man, what if I just would have took the money, it could have been ethical, and just said, yeah, because I invested everything. And this is where I'm going to segue into when you said about, do you invest into your business? Because I'm a proponent always investing
Yep.
extra. Because when you invest that extra, it's going to pay dividends.
Yes.
Like some people, just buy stocks, but it'll make 20%. No, I'd rather invest in my business because I can
Right.
make that money more than
Yeah.
things I don't know. So I would say each one has gotten easier. I mean, and the last one, I think when 2008 hit and we lost everything, is when I really understood the book, Rich Dad Poor Dad. I never knew these. I never knew these concepts until about 4 years ago. And I said to my wife, it's crazy because it was about in 2018 that my life radically changed where it was like, it was nice in growth, but then it went like this. Because I really understood the power because I was 45 years old. I was 45 years old and I was doing well, but I was like, okay, now I have to have estate planning. Now I have to understand these things. I got my first insurance policy that wasn't like a term. It was a vehicle where it's
Right.
like, okay, 10-year vehicle, it'll be this. And that's what started it. And then for the last 9 years, it's just been, we bought property and then that appreciated. And then 2018 hit, I got Beach Place. But that was just a 7-unit apartment building
Wow.
that I said, I had a vision.
Yeah.
And there was no pool. There was none of that stuff. But the city wasn't giving me a pool. I had faith that I was going to get it. I got a lawyer and I did this. I got the pool. Then I turned them into Airbnbs. And every client that moved
Yes.
out, I just kept growing. And now the property quadrupled in value over the last 5 years. So remember, it's this about the discipline of trusting the process because I kept reinvesting. And that's, so I don't say which one's better. They were all easy.
Yeah.
Easy to make it and easy to lose it. Now, are you disciplined not to lose it? So I'm in preservation mode now. In
Yeah.
the 30s, I could do it again. In your 40s, it's hard to do it again. In your 50s, you do not want to do it again.
Yeah.
Right? So that's why I tell my younger, because I'm mentoring a couple guys.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I said, guys, you're 27 years old. You have the world ahead of you.
Yes.
Please make it and lose it. Because unless you lose it, you're never going to understand. You won't. Because when you win a lot in the stock market, you never realize until you lose it all. Like, oh my gosh, it's that easy. Yeah, it really is.
Wow.
You become part of the club when you lose it all. There's a club,
Yeah.
You can't call
That is
yourself
like, yeah, that's
successful.
good.
You cannot call yourself successful unless you lost it all.
Yeah.
Wow.
You're just lucky.
Wow.
I'm just telling you.
No, that's true.
These
You
crypto
need that
guys,
spark.
all that, they're all lucky.
Yes.
Wow.
So
Wow.
if anybody takes something away from here today, it's like, listen, it's no such thing as luck.
You know, I love that you said that though, because every single entrepreneur that I've been surrounded by, you know, in the last 5 years since I've gotten into this, because that God just keeps opening doors. I was telling Maddie and Danny, God just keeps opening doors for me to be surrounded by entrepreneurs and business owners. And that's not what I went to school for. I didn't even graduate college, which is a whole nother thing. But I've been in ministry. My husband and I have been in ministry, full-time ministry on staff at churches for my entire career, basically. And then that kind of ended about 4 years ago. And ever since then, I've been surrounded by these entrepreneurs, and every single one of them has a similar story. Danny has a similar story. Maddie has a similar story.
Sleeping in my car, losing it all.
Losing it all.
That's where you find God.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's where I found God.
I was the closest at that little nook
Yes.
in that big house.
Yeah.
Journaling. I was in Africa. I did great stuff. I loved it.
Right.
But that moment when you have kids and a wife and you're like the pressure of like, oh my gosh. Like even for a perfect example. So not to make another story, but just to talk about our relationship and how it works and just our role versus our wives' roles, right? So my son, remember he tore his knee, so he's
Yeah.
at Sanford again. And this is the year they told him to come back because he could be the starter. Well, he was supposed to come home and he stayed and bet it all on himself. And yes, he found out he didn't get the starting job as the quarterback
Wow.
because of 2 bad practices. The kid that was in front of him actually was the backup when Nick got hurt, and he won the championship by coming in for a hurt guy. So he had a little experience. So because they were equal, this kid got the nod because he has playoff experience.
Wow.
And he told Nick, listen, there's a short leash on this kid. Be prepared. But I'm mad. So I'm hot. Like,
Yeah.
dude, you gave up coming home and starting your life and all this.
Yeah.
It took about 48 hours for me to really digest what. And then my wife comes in and she's like sending me emojis and sending me prayers going, you're not going to trust God in this situation? I'm like, yeah, but I'm mad. And I said, so she came in last night and now it's 48 hours. It wasn't yesterday, it was a couple of days ago. And she sits on my lap and she's like, listen, she goes, are you better now? I'm like, no. She's like, I go, honey, I don't think you really understand the pressures that's on my shoulders. I said, I shield a lot of you guys from everything. I said, but you know, Jensen's going to go to Germany,
Yeah.
and I don't want to tell you how much that costs because it's not insurance. It's all
Right.
the stuff that comes along. And I'm like, honey, it doesn't end. I
Yeah.
said, I funded Nick's journey up there and Devin and the baby and all my employees and Jensen and keeping her healthy. I said, it's a lot of weight on my shoulders
Yeah.
that I don't just flippantly say, I can't do this. No, I will do this, but I'm going to tell you it's hard. So just know that I need your prayers. It's not something I'm just going to get over. It's a process.
Yes.
And people think, oh, God's just going to, no. He gives you pain to heal. He gives you someone a pain in your life to learn patience. He gives you someone lovable to learn how to love.
Yes.
This situation, how many times I wanted to call the head coach? No. I was always their coaches. This isn't like a dad. I was the coach in high school. I was the coaches. And honestly, it's every fiber in my body not to. Because I sat in the room and they recruited him. I sat in the room and tell him, you're going to be our starter. I mean, but then Nick said to me, Dad, I didn't win the job. I had a meltdown last Tuesday. And, it was one of those days he called me and it was a bad day.
Oh.
And the coach ripped him like in a meeting room.
Yeah.
And I had to talk him off a ledge, like almost like, but I said to him, then come home. Like,
Yeah.
don't waste my time and money. Come home.
Yeah.
So it was, he got back off on the horse, and Wednesday had a great day. Thursday had a great scrimmage, and then finished great. But those 2 days, and he knows when he had that meeting with his coach says, listen, Nick, you finished strong, but what changed?
Yeah.
Because my confidence. I go, well, it's all about trust. As a quarterback, the coach has to trust the fact that you're not going to break under pressure.
Yeah.
And he kept saying, and this is my famous thing. It's funny because why I'm segueing this, Nick texted me the next day, Dad, Hatch pulled me aside and gave me a quote. He always say it to me. I'm like, what? He goes, pressure's a privilege.
Yes.
I'm like, you only receive pressure from someone that loves you.
Yes.
Don't think he didn't want you being his starter, but you had to be so much better than this kid, where it's like, he can't have all the parents going, well, this kid played a little. Why is he not getting a chance? And Nick understands, but this is part of his journey. We talk about reps, his journey of understanding. He's going to have a great testimony. And that's what God keeps sharing me. Stop worrying about right now. I already know the future.
Right.
So
Amen.
that's why I segue back going,
That's
I
good.
fall prey to this.
Yeah.
So whether it's a client, whether it's a job I'm doing, it's always, we're constantly anxiety ridden because we're worrying about this. And all God says, just be present with me.
Yeah.
Amen.
And you just got to press through, it's like one thing after the next, after the next. It's so funny when you learn how to be emotionally healthy and spiritually healthy. Meeting challenges, it never gets easier. It never gets easier. Meeting challenges just becomes a part of the process, and you learn how to handle the process, right? Because I actually think life gets way more complicated. I mean, I'm sure you guys can speak to that as well, but just being a new mom and taking on that role, and for my husband and I, like, there's always something, right? We're constantly, and even in ministry, man, we're getting, it never stops.
Pressure's a privilege.
It's a privilege though, because it means for us, I've started to look at it as, man, how incredible is it that people actually value the things that we have to say or the relationship with us, where I'm getting a call at 9:00 at night from someone who's like, hey, can you tell me how to do this? Or can you walk me through this situation? Or my husband and I need you, or whatever it is. And we're like, yep, we're there, because at the end of the day, like you said, from dust to dust, this all goes away. So
it's fleeting.
It's
really
fleeting.
is.
So it's like,
really
might as well use our all, give our all, be our all in everything we do, whether we are business owners or, maybe you're someone who sits in the C-suite, or maybe you're someone who is looking into starting a business, or you want to start a relationship, or, really heal your marriage, like whatever it is, whatever that looks like for you, the pressure that you have to walk through is where you're actually going to see the fruit.
Oh, yeah.
And so often people think like, oh, I can just get to the fruit. But like you said, those are the people that are just lucky.
Yes.
But most of the time that's not the case. Every single successful person that I've had the opportunity to sit at a table with recently, and my husband and I included, have had stories of trauma and experienced breakthrough on the other side. And listen, like, the devil would not be going after people so hard if you weren't walking in the purpose of God. So if you're not experiencing turmoil right now, especially for those believers that are listening, if you're not experiencing turmoil, you probably need to reevaluate something in full transparency, because the devil's not concerned about that. He's concerned about the people that are doing something, and he's pushing back.
Yeah.
And it's the interesting pressure. It's not like this self-created pressure where I'm just going to go and buy the most expensive home and now I got the financial pressure.
Right.
That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about when you're doing everything right. Right? You're living in power and purpose. You have the best relationship with your wife, with your kids. You're running a business, and then all of a sudden something comes out storming out of left field, and you're like, okay, God, what do you want to tell me in this season? Like, that's what I go to right now. It's like, God, what do you want? What do you want me to hear? What do you want me to see? What am I not seeing right now? Where do you want me to step into in this season? And if you get to just change that pivot, you're gonna see God's grace just show up and make you better, faster, stronger, leaner. And I love it. Where can people find you online? How can they connect with you?
ScalzoBuilt.com.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Scalzo Built. What an honor and a privilege. Thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you.
Man,
Had a
guys,
pleasure.
make sure that you check out ScalzoBuilt.com. Spell it out for us.
Scalzo, SCALZO BUILT.com. And also our Instagram handle, Scalzo Built on Instagram.
Beautiful. We're going to tag him right on our social media. Thank you for listening to today's Contractor Click podcast. And I want to leave you with this message right here from our brother Jerry. This season, this year, whatever you want to call this year, political season, recession, pre-recession, soft recession, whatever you want to call it, hey, it's a gift. It's a privilege to be walking and running a business and leading other people in this season. Carry it with honor, with pride, with integrity, and build that trust in God and see your world change. Thank you for listening. Make sure you give us a follow. Leave us a comment. Let us know how you enjoyed this episode. We'll see you on the next one.